Hey everyone, and welcome to another Cascade Crochet video. So in this one, what we're going to be doing is reflecting on our first design experience. So this is the time where you sort of reach the point, you've done your full design, everything's done, you've taken fantastic photos, you have written it out, you've self-published, you've shared it with the world. It is out there. You are a published designer. Congratulations. I knew you could do it. So now what we want to do is really reflect on what we learnt. So I do suggest keeping a journal sort of for your progress. That's completely up to you. So it's different for everyone. You might have a little sort of notepad on your computer. You put some notes in there. So for me, my first time around, I guess the biggest things that I took from that experience was there were no step-by-step guides that I could find anywhere to help me with it. And I had to sort of find it all out myself, and I was kind of flying by the seat of my pants the whole time. So I didn't know anything about pattern testing. I didn't know how to write a pattern properly. I didn't know how to share the pattern with the world once I'd actually done it. So it was really a big learning experience for me, and it got me to sort of write down all of these notes on things that I wish that somebody had told me about. So this is how we got to this how-to series. And for you, it might be that you found, the self-publishing a challenge, or that you found that the self-promotion a challenge, or you might have even found, managing your disappointment as a challenge. And those are things that you can work on when you come into your next pattern design. So it's always great to identify areas that we can improve on for next time. It could be that you learnt some new stitches or some new techniques because you had to really find something new that would make the pattern work. So you had the idea in your head, but you weren't quite sure how to bring that to life. So it could really be anything. So it might be, with this design, I learned how to do the super fancy fan stitch, which is like freaking 18 stitches or something. I can't remember. I've got a tutorial on it, so you can flick back to that insane fan stitch. But yeah, it might be that you learnt that. It might be that you had to learn a new technique to do back post double crochet. Personally, I've had to find new techniques to do back post triple crochets for this new pattern that I've been working on, and boy, has it been a process, because I hate back post anything. So that's my recent takeaway from the pattern that I'm working on right now. A takeaway that I've got from the pattern right now is that, cool, it looks great when you block it out, but I love my shawls much longer. And if you've seen my patterns, you know that I like my shawls nice and long. So I've attached another ball of yarn to this, and I'm working on how to do an extension. So yeah, so figuring out sort of how to replicate some other bits that were earlier in the pattern and make it work like right at the end, to sort of bring in this sort of fantastical, I think it's going to be about 24 row-ish border or edging so that it looks nice. That's been a challenge for me. That's sort of continuing to be a little bit of a challenge because I'm only part of the way through it. So the main body of the pattern is done. It's just this addition that's sort of throwing my mind for a bit of a loop. So this is the sort of thing that you would jot down in your journal, and you're just okay, so I figured out how to make back post triple crochets much easier. It's if you make it sort of in a lace pattern, then you've got much more space to maneuver around and pull things with. So that's always a challenge for me. Anything that has back post in it, I'm all right, how can I make that easier for me? And if it's like skipping out stitches to make it lace, that's what I do. That's that's just my little pro tip, just so that I don't go bonkers with the pattern when I'm trying to do somebody else's pattern. So back post stitches, oh, I hate them so much. But hopefully when you see this new design that I've done, you'll see that the back post stitches have been made a lot easier. But anyway, so the point is that we're taking the time to reflect on lessons that we've learned. I've also learned that sort of doing a bit of a study in texture can be really challenging in terms of sort of how you have to lay things out to make them work. So you might have to do like 3 rows of stitches and it actually just looks like 1 row of stitches, but you've had to layer things. So that's been really interesting. And because I like to make my patterns sort of beginner friendly-ish, and this one's probably definitely for an adventurous beginner because I've put tutorial links like all through how to do everything. But yeah, it's definitely for an adventurous beginner, let's say that. And sort of coming up with ways to actually write the pattern and design the pattern so that these stitches that would normally be in fairly technical pieces are available and accessible to a beginner. That's so important to me because, you know, I want new people coming into the hobby. So that's another thing that I've learned. So yeah, just taking the time to reflect back on what you've learned with the design process, and it can be any part of the design process. So it can be from I had a really tough time thinking up ideas, or yeah, I had a really tough time getting started, because that's the funny thing, that was something that I found in my very first pattern, was that okay, then I've got my magic ring. Now what do I do? There's no pattern telling me what to do. Like nobody's telling me what to do here. What do I do here? And you know, I had this sort of fleeting moment of panic where I was just like, I have no idea what I'm doing. What am I doing? I can't design this. And I just had like all this horrible self-talk going on in my head. And that was something that I learned. So, you know, I guess that's something that I sort of tried to discuss a little bit in your in this series. So I think maybe, sorry, neighbors always getting people, like finding another hobby, and you know, like avoiding burnout, and keeping the fun from dying, and you know, managing your disappointment as well. Like it all comes into it when you're sort of having these moments that you might have of panic while you're designing. So yeah, I feel that reflecting at the end, like once you hit that publish button, once you hit that button to like show it on social media or wherever it is that you go promoting it, you know, you take that big sigh of relief, and just, it's really important to sort of, you know, give yourself a pat on the back, first of all, because you're published. And second of all, just sort of, you know, going, okay, then I learnt so much from that. So what I learned then helped inform how I made my second pattern. And I'm just like, okay, then I liked the way that I started this, so I'm going to do something similar, but it's going to be a little bit different. And I was like, I know how I can start this already. And then, you know, with my third pattern, I'm just like, okay, then I know how to start this, let's go. And then, you know, the next pattern, it's like, it just gets easier as time progresses. So, because you know you've got somewhere to start. And I really need to get my snowflake blanket published, because it's kind of just chilling there, and I'm just like, I don't wanna. So, you know, see, even people who have multiple designs under their belt still go through these moments of where you have to really push yourself. And that's something that I guess that I kind of reflect on. And I'm like, okay, then if I'm not working on publishing that, then I need to be working on something else. And, you know, I do let myself have downtime, but for me, continuing a momentum of design is really essential, because I tend to start things and have trouble finishing them. So, and that's something that I know very well about myself. So, if I start something, I've got to be doing it right now, all the time, get it all done. So, what I've sort of learned with that kind of habit of my own, and as well as the designing process, is that I need to always be designing. You might not always need to be designing, and that's awesome, but I need to always be designing or being creative or doing something like a little bit every single day. So that's why I do these videos, that's why I stream, that's why I do the designing. You know, I'm always keeping on, I guess, keeping on creating, because I've found that, you know, through having to give up traditional work because of my neurological disorder and then all of the fun things that come with that, I've found that being creative has given me a lot of solace. It's been sort of, it hasn't been easy, and I will never say that it's been easy, but it's given me, you know, the reason to wake up in the morning, or the reason to just keep going. So, you know, that might be something that you find as well. So, yeah, taking some time to reflect on the whole process from start to finish, you know, once you've reached that point where you can just finally go, and you're done. Yeah, so taking a bit of time to reflect is such an important part of the process, because then it can help you with your next designs. Anyway, so that's it for this video. Let's do the lippy again. I've got one more video after this, and then we'll move on to some fun things which are sort of helping start the designing process. So what I'm wearing today, it's very pink. So you may have noticed from the last video I was like into the gloss. So this is another gloss. So it is a Marc Jacobs one. It's called Candy Bling, and it is hydrating lip gloss stick. So you kind of pull it out and it's like a little bit of a do recommend this one. It's very nice. It doesn't feel too tacky. It feels sort of like any other gloss, which is really good, and the color is really subtle. But I do recommend trying to get it on sale, because it is a little bit pricey. So I think I got this on Sephora. It was at like some ridiculous discount. So there you go. That's the one. Anyway, so that's it for this video, and I'm looking forward to meeting you in our final video in this series before we start a new series. It's so exciting. Okay, love you guys so much. Thanks for tuning in.